Well, with that said, now I'd like to turn to opening our show tonight. And our first presenter is Steve Bettinger, who is the host of G-Scale Modeling, which is sponsored by Alan Rogers Company, New Creations Victorian Model Railroad Buildings, LLC. Alan.
Welcome to New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings, located in Bakersfield, California, 1 hour from the famed Tehachapi Loop. As part of building his model railroad layout, Alan Rogers took photos and made scale drawings of a number of buildings in the Southwest, many of which no longer exist. New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings has turned these photos and drawings into kits with laser-cut wood, 3D printed components and detailed instructions. We produce kits in HO, O, S, N and G scales. Our O scale kits are compatible with Holiday Village dioramas. You can see our products at train shows or use the QR code to visit our website. We hope you will try our unique kits. They are easy and fun to build, even for beginners. You will enjoy the finished models for many years to come.
And now let me introduce both Steve Sherrill and Steve Bettinger to talk about G-Scale Modeling.
Okay, tonight's program is going to be about making G-scale items not commercially available.
Good evening. So we're going to do two projects this evening, and both are from, I guess you would say, everyday items that you can purchase at your local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, etc., and turn into literally items that you really need for your railroad, but there's no commercial manufacturer for those items that I'm aware of anyway. So we're going to start off with what I obviously have right here, which is a typical 2-bay coal hopper that many folks in G-Scale will certainly have these. This is an empty car, so you got to get it loaded somehow, correct? Coal, gravel, ore, whatever it is you're going to load has to get inside the car, and typically through a tipple or some type of other chute or loading device. So I'm going to shove that car out of the way, and voila, here's what we're going to build tonight. This is what we would normally see loading a tipple car. This is looking at it mounted underneath the structure, track coming in underneath to load these cars. In order to make this item, it only requires 7 parts, 7 pretty simple parts. And I'll show you what you need to purchase when you go out. First of all, you're going to buy one of these. You've all probably seen this. This is the top cap for a PVC deck post. Goes around the railing on your property. Next thing you're going to purchase is this. This is the picket, one of the pickets in your deck post that you normally have like that. That's the 2 items that you need to go out and get. We're going to start with this first one. In order to get started off, I've gone ahead and marked the top of this where you're going to have to make a cut. I actually don't cut mine. What I do is I just take this, hold it upside down on my belt sander, and just press down lightly until I have removed enough of that I'm down flat. You do not want to remove all of that because you're going to mount a second piece onto the top of that. So you need something to glue to in order to do that. Next item up is this little scrap, 1/4 inch thick PVC. That will get applied right here on top of this, and that's the centering for the chute. And if we look at the finished one, we see that right here as the base. Going back to the picket that you purchased, out of this you can get many, many pieces of the chute, the device here in the middle. Let me get my handy dandy felt tip marker here and show you something. Whatever type of saw you have, hand saw, table saw, you name it, in order to get the very first cut, this is what we want. We want just this amount, which is the top radius and flat on one side. So you put it in your saw, and you're going to make that cut right there. Same thing on the opposite side. You're going to come back here, And you're going to cut that piece off where you have about a 3-inch section, keeping this piece. That's the piece we want. Once we've done that, we're going to go back to our little block that we had right here, and we're going to put a bevel on this underside. Typically anywhere from 30 to 45 degrees. That's going to work because we want that to be fastened in this position right on top of there when we're done. Next piece we're going to need is what we see here in yellow, second portion of our chute. Likewise, now we go back to our PVC post. We move up to a different area on there. This time our cut is going to be twice as deep. We're going to cut this full 1/2 inch depth that we see right there. Now we move in about like that right there. Same thing. Whack it off at that point. After you have that piece, we're going to come back. We're going to take a little saw. I use a little razor saw. Cut down through right here. Take this piece here out, cut this direction, throw that piece away. We save this. We cut a little 45 tit on the sides of here. And this piece, along with our first piece that we cut, so I'm going to put that together correctly, goes just like this, right? Glue it to our little base piece we had right down here. And our last item we're going to need is this very expensive part here called a nail. Just a little number 4 common nail. Ground the tip off of that. That will become the hinge. And the hinge, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but that's right here at the back end. So when everything's put together, we're going to have the angled piece. We're going to keep the nail in there still, followed by the nail and the chute on top, everything glued together. Next thing, how do I mount this onto my structure, right? Once I get that together. Now we go back to my handy dandy product I'm always talking about, which is PL 375 glue. And another piece of the 1/4 inch PVC. This is just a scrap piece that I cut out. This is going to go here inside in that position. It's a good fit. Take that back out. This piece we mount on the bottom of our structure like that. Glue it, whatever you need to do, put it up there, let that sit there. When that's done, you're going to take your finished item. This is up like that, right? We're going to push the assembly up to it. And then we're going to take our glue, our PL 375. We're just going to fill up this gap all the way around here with lots of that. Get out with the finger, push it in tight. The adhesion, just the suction and adhesion alone will hold that up for you. There's nothing else you need to do to that. If you feel you need additional things to hold it, you could drill 2 holes. The only other thing you have to do in that assembly, and that is add support wires. I'll go back to the first piece I showed you, and I have 2 little black dots right on there. And if we look on the finished product, we see 2 supports coming down. Those 2 little supports I have right here. This is a typical piece of brass wire. My very precise measurement here, you see, I just stick it in the depth of the pliers, crank it over like that. There that piece is. That's all you need. Once you've drilled a hole, this gets inserted through a hole you've made in this side. You've drilled this out down below, and you allow that to stub through, and you glue it on the other side. Just don't let it stick out too far. If you do, it's going to run into your block. So you're 1/4 inch inside, that's plenty, and you're all set. For that particular one, you can paint it black, solid black if you like. I like the 2-tone effect. I'm just using regular scale coat black. You can use any black you get a hold of. And the yellow in this case is a Tamiya product for that. Some of the newer era loaders have these yellow ends on it because when you're loading cars, when that extends downward, the material builds up, and that yellow for the train crew, whoever, that gives them an indicator that they're not down too low when they move those cars forward. They can see that yellow projected down much better than an all dark chute. I'll entertain any questions anybody has on that item.
Steve, are there smaller size posts that you can maybe use and make these in smaller scales?
Okay, if you're an O scale, right? Go to the plumbing department in the store, back where they sell inexpensive towel rods. And they will have this same cross section back there at about 5/8 of an inch square. All you're looking for is the part that the towel hangs from. There'll be an end bracket on each end. You can buy those sets that are somewhere in the neighborhood of $9. You just want that square stock, and you can just repeat the same process using that same stock. These, by the way, come in two sizes as well. These come in 1 3/8 and 1 3/4. So you can purchase whatever size you want in those. And the whole project, when you're done, these are the caps, $3. A picket post like that, about another $3. The miscellaneous stuff, if you have this in your workshop, no, factor in $2 to that, and you got about an $8 finished project when you're done. Okay, next item. This is for along your right of way. And what I have here, I started with just a real inexpensive Bachmann utility pole that I trimmed the arms down a little shorter on. Bachmann put these out in some of their train sets. Also, Bachmann sells these in packages, 12 to a pack, inexpensive to buy. Spray paint them, let them weather up. But what we're interested in is making this transformer. Not every pole has a transformer. When you get near your industry, structures and so forth, you're going to need a step-down transformer to supply voltage to that property. So the items we're going to go out and get for this, we're going to go, this is Walmart for this one. I'm sorry, Home Depot. Walmart sells them too. These are the little feet that go on the bottom of your furniture to help them slide around better so they don't get stuck in your carpet or scratch up your hardwood floors. They have multiple sizes in the pack. We're interested in the small ones. Thank goodness they give you about 10 in that pack. When you get them inside, they have a little sticky tape you peel off and a piece of foam. We have to get rid of that. So you're going to take your knife, you're going to dig that little piece of foam out of there, and it's going to look just like this on the inside. It's going to be a hollow cap. We no longer have that white piece we see there. Once we have this, our other purchase is this right here. These are just scraps I had from a construction job. These are two different weights of pipe, schedule 20 and schedule 30. Either one will work. If you're going out to buy it, this is the 30. You don't need to buy that. Just buy the cheaper one, which is the schedule 20. You're going to cut off a piece of it, just like this, about 1.5 inches in length. And then we're going to take the cap. We're going to put it on there just like that. And that's the top of our transformer. On the bottom, we have to close it off as well. Anything you can shove up in there will work. You can actually put a dowel on in some of them. I just take an old scrap piece of styrene. You can see my circle that I've drawn on there. Set it on there, glue it together. After it's glued up, just trim around the excess. And when you get all done, if we look under the bottom of this one, we get a solid bottom. Next step is out of the top of the transformer, what looks like 2 posts sticking up. For that, we have got ourselves 2 sheet metal screws. These happen to be 1 1/4 screws. And all you need to do with those is take and cut off the heads and about 1/2 inch of it. We're only interested in this much of it right there, that section. The rest of this, we don't care about anymore. Cut those off. We're going to drill 2 holes in the top, about 1/8 of an inch here and here. And we'll then screw them in. They'll screw counterclockwise down in there. The threads will work just fine. Just turn the opposite direction of what you normally do and screw them right in there. After that, on the side, we see 2 of the outfeed wires. Some transformers have 3, depending on the step down. For that, we need a scrap piece of this stuff. And this is 14 gauge house wire, Romex. I've stripped off the outside coating, so I have just this. And I'm going to take and cut off just the leading part here. Now I have that part and this. I'm going to drill 2 holes again here in the side. And once I have those drilled, I'm going to push it in until I have the larger portion of it exposed. That actually is quite flexible. I can take pliers, I can bend these just like that. I can bend those, set them up into position so that the overhead, if I actually put overhead wires out here, and on my interior of my G-scale in the house, I have everything wired, and these are in appropriate positions. Likewise, I have a connector wire from the top of the transformer to the grounding position. So now, only thing remaining is how to get this onto the pole, because this top lip, as you can see, is bigger than the transformer. For that, little piece of evergreen plastic, this is like 1/8 of an inch thick. I have cut that just as big as the transformer itself. I stand it up here, and I've glued that to the pole. Once I glue this on, that gives me a nice broad surface here, and I glue the transformer to this. You'll have a hard time, even if you cut a divot in the top, getting around and around to fasten to each other. Much simpler if you have some square stock in there to let that bite tip. So now you have yourself a fairly inexpensive transformer. And since a pack of these right here at about $13 for the whole pack, you get at least 10 of them out of there. The other little miscellaneous parts you have right here, probably $2.50 to make your transformers. There we go. All you G-scalers, you got projects.
Thank you so much, Steve. That's great looking modeling. No question about it. And the price you can't beat.